How's it going, everyone? My name is the Trading Savage, and in this video we're going to be talking about fundamentals of using Git and GitHub, specifically with Python. So I recently wrote a Medium article called Everything You Need to Know Before Vibe Coding with Python, and this is going to be basically the first video in that series. So let's get into it. So this is the Medium article that I wrote, what you need to know before vibe coding in Python. And the first essential is using version control. So to me, version control is absolutely essential because it allows you to track and manage changes to your code. So why is this important? So let's say you're working with ChatGPT to produce some great code for your product, and ChatGPT gives you some code that looks like it'll work, and you test it and, oh, it doesn't work actually. Okay, so you try again and it gives you code that is able to solve one aspect that you were looking for, but it wasn't able to solve another aspect that you were looking for. And then iterate a few more times, ChatGPT gives you the reverse, like one aspect that you didn't have before you now have, but the other aspect that you had before you lost. So with version control, it's basically kind of like Google Drive. It allows you to collaborate with others or collaborate with yourself across multiple devices. I like to think of it as basically there's a main universe and there's alternative universes. And in the main universe, this might be our production code, what our customers are relying on, what we're relying on. The alternative branches or alternative universes, this is more experimental. This could be, trying to fix a bug. And we want to see if the alternative branch where we've made changes is compatible and will work well with the main branch, our main universe. So what you're going to want to do is just look up setup Git in the GitHub documentation. You're going to install Git. So there's some notes here about setting up Git. And I like to use Git, the version control tool, with GitHub. There's other alternatives such as GitLab, but I personally like to use GitHub. And you're going to need to authenticate with GitHub from Git from your local computer. And I should preface by saying you need a GitHub account. So here's my GitHub account. There's a tab for repositories. Assuming that you've already authenticated with, if you've already installed Git, you've already authenticated with GitHub, I'm going to create a new Python project to show you how this all works. And what I'm going to do is, I'll call this Git demo vibe coding. Custom environment, Conda. I like to use Conda because it's clear how you're activating the environment, installing packages in the environment, etc. You can use Python 3.12. Name of the environment is Git demo vibe coding, and create. You might need to install Conda, mini Conda, but I'm going to create. Okay, so now we have a Python project, but it's not on GitHub right now. It's just on our local computer. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to version control, and I'm going to click on share project on GitHub. Repository name, Git demo vibe coding. You can change this if you want. Repository will be private. I like to keep mine private at first. You can always change it to public. And I'll click on share. And there's no differences. So, it's an empty repository. Commit message. You'll want to be descriptive in your commit messages. For example, let's say you're using ChatGPT and you can make a note and commit message like, oh, this is working, this isn't working, or fix this, or etc. But that helps you later on when you're looking through all the versions of your code, trying to figure out like, oh, I really like this, but I don't have that anymore in the code. Like, where is it? Like, where to go? So we now have an empty repository. What I'm going to do is click on repositories. And so here's our Git demo vibe coding repository. As you can see, it's empty. So first of all, let's just add some code to our repository. So I'm just going to add some random code. So copied that, and I'm going to click on the root directory. I'm going to click on new Python file main, and so add that to our add that to Git, and then we've now created a new Python file called main.py. I'm going to paste in the code, and there's, we haven't installed these packages yet or anything, so that's why there's some errors. But let's commit this to our repository. In the commit message, I'm going to say add main.py and commit and push. So commit and push will commit this to our repository, and here instead of master, I like to use main. So this will be the main branch. This is our main universe. So as you can see now, in our repository, we have a main branch. View all branches, that's the only one. And that's our default branch. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on check out this branch. Let's go to this universe, go to this branch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this master branch. Okay, so we don't want the master branch. We want the main branch. Okay, so now we're on our main branch, and I'm going to create a new alternate universe or a new branch off of main. So new branch from main. And what are we going to call this? So I'll say add comments. Check out that new branch. Let's go to that universe. Now I'm going to add some comments. Adding comments. Okay. Now you can see here in the commit tab, changes, double click on main.py, you can see this is the old version, this is the new version. There's basically 3 new lines where we added comments. So I'm going to commit the changes to this add comments branch, this alternative universe, and I'm just going to write in the commit message added comments and commit and push. Okay, great. So now if I reload this, well, we don't even probably need to reload, but let me just reload anyway. So now in the drop down, there's 2 branches, add comments and main. So there's our alternate universe. So if we go to main.py, as you can see, there's no comments. If we change our universe to this add comments branch, let's go to main.py, and you can see there's our comments. Okay, so then it says add comments had recent pushes 41 seconds ago. we can compare and pull requests. By the way, it also shows our commit history. So this is what I mentioned before, where when you're using a large language model, sometimes different things will work. Sometimes it might get rid of stuff you want, stuff that was working in the iterative process. So this is a great place. You just go to this commit history and you can find your repository at a point in time where stuff was working, for example. And to do that, you can go here to browse repository at this point. So this is what the repository looked like at a point in time, such as 4 minutes ago. Okay, so we're going to compare and pull request. So this is basically, let's compare the changes between something that I did on one device versus another, for example, or on one branch in one universe versus another, or let's compare something that someone else did in their universe to our main universe. So compare and pull request. Our base, our main branch is main, and then our alternate universe branch is add comments. So in this pull request, we can keep the title the same. The description, this is where you're gonna write, like, any essential notes that you want to give the reviewer who's reviewing your pull request, reviewing your changes. What do they need to know? What did you do in that branch? What are you adding or changing, fixing? What you're going to want to do is add a reviewer. So in my case, there's no reviewers, but here you would request a review. You would request a review from someone, and they'll get a notification. And then they'll basically pop this open and review the code. Assignee, I just assign myself. That means, like, maybe you review the pull request, but I'll be the one that goes in and merges the pull request, merges two universes together, and monitors the results. Labels, there's a few different labels that you can add, such as, like, this is like bug, adding documentation, there's a new feature being added, for example, or a question like, what is this part of the code? So these labels are important. I'm just going to say enhancement. And here you can see a brief preview of the pull request and the changes. I'm going to click on create pull request. Okay, so now there's some history, commit history in the pull request. And when the pull request is being created, this is more advanced, but you can set up GitHub actions that check whether the branches are able to be merged. Like maybe one branch isn't, the alternate universe isn't formatted according to best standards. You can have GitHub actions check that for you when you create the pull request, and it'll say, like, oh no, you can't merge this yet. There's still some issues that are preventing that, but that's more advanced. So right now we just want to worry about, like, merging the pull request. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of history here to show you how that works. So let's say instead of column 1 on the add comments branch, I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to make it column 4. So column 4 is going to be D, E, F. Okay, so we deleted a part of the data frame, a column, and we're adding a column to the data frame. Let's just see the changes. Okay, so it shows that we deleted something and we added something. Now I'm going to commit and push the changes. remove comment column 1, add column 4. Commit and push. Okay, and now you can see in the commit history there's a remove column 1, add column 4 commit, and it reran the check and it says no conflicts with base branch. I'm going to merge the changes from our alternate add comments universe into the main universe. Confirm merge. And it says merged and closed successfully. That branch can be safely deleted. And by the way, when you're reviewing pull requests, what you can do is go to Files Changed, and it'll show you all the files that were changed. And here, for example, it shows that I added a few lines, and I added this adding comments comment. It says in this red line that I deleted column 1, and this green line shows that I deleted column 4. So I'm going to mark viewed, and review changes looks good, and submit review. So when you're reviewing a pull request, you can just leave a comment, you can approve it, or you can request changes. But here in this case, you can't approve your own pull request, so you can just leave comments. Okay, so it says pull request merged and closed. I usually delete the branch that I created for a specific purpose, but if it's a dev branch, for example, like a development branch, then you don't want to delete that branch. You want to keep the branch. So if it's a branch that needs to stay for development purposes rather than for production purposes like main, you want to keep that too. If it's a branch or alternate universe for a very specific purpose that you're not going to need anymore, you can delete it. So I'm going to click on delete branch. Okay. Now we go back to our repository. Branch drop down. View all branches. There's only one called main. Okay. Now if we look at the main branch, we look at main.py, we can see, oh, now our main.py file has comments. And now there's no column 1 and there's a column 4. So what we need to do now is sync up our local repository to the GitHub repository. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, well, first I'll show you basically how updating the project works. And it's not going to work if we try to update it still on the add comments branch, because the add comments branch doesn't exist anymore. So if I just click on update project, it says update canceled, cannot update. There's no track branch in GitHub. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check out main. Okay. And I'm just going to update for good measure. So I'm back in my main universe. I'm just going to click on update project. And as you can see, it was already updated, but there's column 2 and there's column 4 with the comments. So I'm going to also delete this branch. It was already deleted in GitHub, but we still have this branch locally, so we want to delete this. So I'm just going to click on delete. So now we just have one local main branch and one branch in GitHub. So that's how you will update your project to reflect the changes that other people are making. And best practice is, try to update your project when there's pull requests and other changes, so that you're working in the most current, the most up-to-date version of the repository. Now there's some files that you're not going to want to commit. So a lot of these files, for example, like these .idea files, you're probably not going to want to commit those to your repository. I'd say what I like to do is just commit any essential files. So it would be something like main.py, your requirements.txt, where you list all the package requirements, a README file, etc. But yeah, you're not gonna. You can just leave these in the unversioned tab, or you can add these to your git ignore, etc. So that'll tell Git to ignore those files in this commit tab. But yeah, as I mentioned, for vibe coding, for me, version control, Git is absolutely essential. And it's not only going to make your coding more efficient, where you can keep track of what worked and what didn't work over time and try to combine the best of both worlds. It also just makes you a better software engineer and makes you more professional. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate your time, and I hope that I was able to help you learn a few things about software development and become a better engineer. And I hope you create some really cool products with ChatGPT and other large language multimodal models in the future. So if you wouldn't mind, subscribe, drop me a like, and I'll see you in the next video.